What is going on, everyone? My name is Benjamin Nowak. This is the Smallmouth Experience Day 2 of my daily video series, and I'm super excited to do this video. It is my rod and reel arsenal for 2020. I haven't done this in about 2 or 3 years, so it's going to be interesting to show you guys the rods that I'm using, the gear that I'm using to be successful with the techniques that I have here behind me on the deck of my boat. And this is really going to be focused more towards like summertime fishing, but really covering most of the applications that you guys are going to need throughout the year. Also, towards the end of the video, we're going to do a monster bass unboxing, and I'm super excited because this month's June monster bass box is probably one of my favorite ones we've ever gotten. Really put some awesome high quality products in here that you guys should be as excited about as I am, because there's just some really cool things that you guys got this month that are going to help you catch fish, both largemouth and smallmouth, up here in the Midwest. But that's going to be towards the end of the video, so without further ado, let's kind of dive into this rod and reel arsenal. Now we're going to start here on the right side of my boat. The way that I lay this thing out is spinning rods over here, bait casters over here, and I've really been trying to make myself as organized as I possibly can be this season, so trying to keep things as lined up as I possibly can be. Kind of got this from Brian Thrift. If you guys ever watch Brian Thrift fish, if you don't know, he's an MLF touring professional, probably one of the greatest bass fishermen of all time. One of the things that I think makes him so effective is his efficiency, his ability to cover a lot of water really quickly, break down spots, but also because of his organization, he's just super, super fast. Look at the deck of his boat. Every single one of his rods, and he probably carries 15 rods on the deck of his boat, are perfectly organized. So this is something I've tried to adopt this season and make a habit of basically as I started this fishing season, because I think it's going to help me be a little bit more efficient angler, even though I'm not a tournament fisherman. So the first rod I want to talk to you guys about is this thing right here, which you guys saw a ton recently. This is my Ned rig setup. Now forgive me, I know my boat is a mess. I was trying to shoot a video. The cottonwood started falling and it is now full of cottonwood. All of my baits have cottonwood on them, so it's pretty messy and nasty. But this rod right here, this is my Ned rig setup currently. It is a 7.3 medium fast action rod. It's a TFO Tactical Elite Series. All the rods I'm going to show you guys are TFO. And then I'm running 15-pound test braid to 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. I really like this overall setup. I like this 7.3 because I can make a long cast, but it's still super, super sensitive. It's not overly heavy, so I can fish it even when I'm just making short flips and pitches away from the boat. The reel that I'm throwing is a Team Lose Custom Pro 3000 size spinning reel. I always like to upsize on my spinning reel. You're not really losing that much as far as weight goes by going to smaller sizes. So going to the 3000 size is going to have better line management, and it's also got a better drag system, because the way that drag works on a spinning reel is you're basically looking for the amount of surface area covered by this top piece. This is how your drag is set up. So your 3000s, your 4000 size spinning reels are going to actually have a better drag system because it's a larger mechanism or larger surface area piece of drag. You can also cast a lot better, and it's a high speed gear ratio, 6:2:1 spinning reel. So that is my first setup for Ned rigs. I also could see myself using this for deeper water drop shotting when I'm power shotting with like a 1/2 or 3/4 ounce weight on those deep water smallmouth. But right now I have a Ned rig on it, 1/4 ounce with that little goby from my buddy Handmade Fishing. Rod number 2 is actually a walleye series rod, and it's something that TFO has given me the opportunity to help them work on to come out with a hair jig rod. So this is the walleye series TFO Professional Walleye 7.6 medium light. Right now I have the hair jig on this, but I could also use this as a spy bait rod or even a small swim bait rod. But this thing has been so perfect for that hair jig because this is 3/32 of an ounce, has the right tip where you can load this thing up and make a long cast, but still when that fish bites and you typically don't feel the bite, keep it moving and reel into those fish. It has a deep enough bend in the rod to keep those fish pinned on these small hair jig light wire hooks. The reel I'm running, this is actually an old school Fluger President, I believe. It's been in my garage for a long, long time. But what I like about this is it's a little bit slower speed gear ratio. So it's a 5 speed gear ratio reel, which when I'm fishing spy baits and hair jigs, I want to keep this bait moving slowly through the column, give those fish a lot of time to track it from a far ways away and come up and eat it. With these baits that are basically reeling slowly through the column, I want to give those fish as much time as possible, especially in clear water, to see that bait, track it from a long ways away, and come up and follow it and eat it. Because if you're using those faster speed gear ratio reels, you're going to get to the boat faster, and those fish might see the boat and turn off, especially in clear water situations. So this is the only spinning setup where I'm going 10-pound test braid to 6-pound test Tatsu fluorocarbon. And the reason I like that setup a little bit more than that heavier line is because you can cast it further with that lighter braid, lighter fluorocarbon, and also in those super clear water situations when you're fishing baits where those fish can basically track and see it from a long ways away. It's just going to hold up a lot better, and it's going to get you a lot more bites with just that little bit lighter fluorocarbon and braid. Now, one of my all-time favorite setups, and I am going to absolutely be putting this thing to work this year, is a 7-1 medium light fast action rod. Now, this is a prototype rod that TFO is actually going to be coming out with very shortly. Super stoked on. I'm probably going to get like 1 or 2 more of these. It's a 7-1 medium light fast action rod. It's perfect for Ned rigs, drop shots. I actually used it for a hair jig for a little bit. Because it's that medium light 7-1, you can do just a bunch of different things. But I have a drop shot on this, and I can see this being a perfect drop shot rod. I've caught some fish on it already on the drop shot. Like the way it loaded up and the overall action of this thing. So 7-1 medium light fast action, 713. Then a Team Loose Custom Pro reel, 3000 size, 6:2:1, 15:8. Now on this drop shot, I'm actually running a swivel, which we'll get into in a drop shot video soon. But man, I am in love with this setup. Super versatile, probably one of my all-around favorite spinning setups that I have on the boat. And finally, we're going to be taking a look at my tube rod. It is a 7.3 medium heavy rod, but the way TFO runs, this is actually in between like a medium and a medium heavy for me. Kind of preference, I like that medium heavy. It's going to give me the opportunity to set the hook into those fish on that little bit heavier wire jig hook that comes in a tube, make long casts, crack a tube, and I'm actually fishing it on straight fluorocarbon line. This is 8-pound fluorocarbon. I'm playing with it, not sure if I like it or not yet. Team Loose Custom Pro 3000, 6:2:1 gear ratio, and that is my tube fishing setup. Those are my spinning setups, my 4 favorite spinning setups, and how I'm going to be using them this season. Now let's move to this side of the boat, and we're going to be talking about my bait casters, and we're talking shortest to longest. And this is a rod you guys have seen me do a lot of work with this season. It is my jerkbait setup. I've caught so many fish on this jerkbait right here. This is the Duo 100 SP AM edge color, basically darker back, chartreuse belly. Caught me so many giant fish. TFO Tactical Elite 7-foot cranking rod. I got a lot of questions on this because Temple Fork actually has a jerkbait topwater rod listed, and it's a 6.9 medium, I believe. This 7-foot cranking rod has been the absolute deal for jerkbaits. It's a little bit more moderate, so it's softer when you set the hook. It keeps those fish pinned, but it has that snappiness that you need to get the responsiveness out of the jerkbait. So 7-foot cranking rod for my jerkbaits. I'm actually going to get another one of these for my topwaters, for those big walking baits and for those poppers, because it has a tip you need to make a long cast or be accurate with that little popper, fishing it around shallow cover. Tournament Pro G reel, 7:1 gear ratio, because I want to be able to pick up line quickly when that fish eats the jerkbait, and 10-pound test fluorocarbon line. That is my jerkbaiting setup. Setup number 2 has also gotten a ton of work, and this is my swim jig or Swimbait rod. It is a 7.3 medium heavy. I'm fishing swim jigs on it, I'm fishing swim baits on it. A little bit deeper bend, they call it a fast action, but the way that this thing loads up with that single hook, it's absolutely perfect. Now, it is a medium heavy, but it runs a little bit softer than a lot of medium heavies on the market, which I personally really like for swim baits and for swim jigs because I'm running lighter wire hooks. So 735 TFO Tactical Elite with an old school Lose 6:2:1 gear ratio reel and 15-pound test fluorocarbon line. 15-pound test is going to be perfect all around for swim baits, for those swim jigs, because it's heavy enough where you can fish it around shallow cover, or you can fish it in open water and set the hook hard and get those fish in the boat. Now, cranking rod. This is going to get a lot of bites. It's going to catch me a lot of bass. Has caught me a lot of bass. It's a 7.4 medium heavy cranking rod from TFO. Threw a lipless on it. I'm now going to be throwing those medium and deeper diving crankbaits, those 12 to 15 foot divers. This is a DT16, DT14, DT12. Some of those deeper diving crankbaits on this thing. Just such a good overall rod. You can also use this for chatterbaits, which I plan on doing as well, because it loads a little bit deeper into the rod. Just an all around great rod. Love this rod. And then I have an old school Lose BB1 Pro on this, 6:2:1 gear ratio, and 12-pound test fluorocarbon line. I've said this about pretty much all of the setups. You've seen a lot of these a lot of times already this season. And finally, this is a rod that's going to get put to work this summer when I get them on that wobblehead bite, which is something that I want to become better at. It's a 756, which is basically a 7'5" heavy power rod, but they call it a moderate. And the reason I like that moderate, has a little bit deeper bend in the rod, so when you set the hook on those fish, you don't lose the responsiveness. It's going to bend, it's going to give you the flex to fight that fish on this heavier bait rather than just having that fish have so much leverage, ripping a hole in their mouth and losing a lot of fish on a wobble head. So 756, 7'5", heavy, moderate rod. Reel on this thing is a Team Loose Custom Pro, 7:5:1 gear ratio, 3/4 ounce wobble head. Already put some fish in the boat, but I plan to use it a lot this summer and abuse that thing. So that's pretty much my rod and reel arsenal, how I'm gonna be using it, the baits I'm gonna be throwing on this thing to be successful. Now, one more thing I wanna talk about is kind of how I got associated with TFO, because I think a lot of people see people switch brands all the time. They think to themselves, okay, well, they're just selling out. TFO and I have a pretty cool relationship. The guy that I work with, his name is Ross Evans. Really, really awesome guy. He reached out to me at the end of last season and wanted to see if I wanted to start coming on with TFO to help them promote some of the rods. They're looking to come back into the conventional bass market. Now, they've been around for like 25 years in the fly world. They actually had some bass rods in the past, worked with Cliff Pace to come out with some of these rods, including this one right here, which is a Gary Loomis style rod. Gary Loomis had worked with them as well on some actions and powers. So they've been around for a long time, but they decided to reach out to me, see if I wanted to work with them. And they sent me some rods to try, and I told Ross, I'm like, dude, give me some time to try these rods, see if I like them, see if there's something that I want to work with you guys on. And I've fished their products before, so we ended up making a deal, working out a relationship together, and I couldn't be more happy. Their rods are top of the line. You literally get some of the best components on the market, and they have really unique actions that I think can be applied to largemouth fishing, smallmouth fishing. No matter what kind of fishing you guys do, you guys can find a setup that will fit your style of fishing. Now, without further ado, let's dive on to this month's Monster Bass box. Whew, this thing is gonna be sweet. It's a heater. So rather than a standard unboxing where I sit in front of the camera and I'm a talking head, we're gonna do it a little bit different, give you guys a close-up of everything in this month's box. Now, this is the Midwest box for the month of June, and if you guys weren't aware, I actually get to help them pick out the baits for the Midwest every single month. So I'm putting the baits in here that I believe in, that I trust, that I know can go out and help you catch giant fish, whether you're largemouth or smallmouth bass fishing. So first things first, when you open this thing up, you always get your Monster Bass sticker. This one's pretty cool. And then you get your card, and this is pretty cool. Look at Meet Ben Nowak. That is me. I am the person that is helping you guys pick out the baits for the Midwest box. And it basically tells you a little bit about me. You guys can read that if you want, and you get to know kind of about the products and the thing, who is Monster Bass, and check out this PB from Morgan Wilson, 7.8 pounds, an absolute giant. Just a really cool thing we're starting to include in the boxes. The first thing you're gonna notice is this Chase Baits Big Wiggle Bomb. It's basically what it is a top water subsurface crossover to be fished around the grass, or to be fished around that subsurface grass. So first thing when you think of post spawn, I think about top water fishing. I think about fishing just subsurface, catching those fish that are still cruising around that shallow cover. This thing is cool because you can let it fill up with water and fish it below the surface through the grass, because the hooks are pretty much weedless, or you can fish it on top water, kind of a crossover bait from Chase Baits. It's pretty unique. Your next thing is your Z-Man Sling Blade Spinnerbait, and this is really cool because they have what's called live wire. So it's a really light wire, but it's super strong. It's going to give you the best action on these blades. It's going to be an awesome little spinnerbait, and if you can see the bottom of that head, it does have a little cone on it, and that's going to help this bait stay true, track true, regardless of what sort of trailer you put on here. And 3/8 ounce is going to be perfect for most of your needs. I'm going to probably throw this around shallow reeds for largemouth and smallmouth, or maybe in over shallow flats when these fish come back up post spawn, because they're going to be looking for those bait fish, looking for those bluegill, looking for those things that are up there shallow, that are easy targets. Next, you have a 1/2 ounce football jig. I'm super stoked on this. When I think post spawn, I think deeper water, dragon jigs, big worms, and this thing is gonna pair up perfect with one of the other baits that we have in this month's box, the X-Zone Finesse Muscleback Craw. It's 3 1/4 inches long, 309 color, which is a super good all around fish catching color, kind of pearlescent bottom, and then a green with gold and purple flake on the back. You guys know that I love this style of color for smallmouth, and with that 1/2 ounce football jig and this little muscleback finesse craw, you're gonna go out and be able to smash a bunch of big fish, whether you're fishing smallmouth or largemouth. Just a super versatile color. You're also getting, this is something that's really cool, the new eyeball head from Lifted Jigs. The reason that I like this is its versatility. You have the screw lock keeper with a 60-degree line tie on there. So this can be used for swim baits, can be used for fishing darters or small baits along the bottom. Super premium hooks, 3/16 of an ounce, so you can fish it shallow, you can let it sink and fish it on a spinning rod in a little bit deeper water. Just super versatile head that I'm very excited to actually throw a little darter around on, or a little goby, and drag it around the bottom and catch some giants on this. And then again, going back to X-Zone, we have the 4-inch adrenaline bug. Now, if you guys our largemouth bass fishermen, you guys are going to be super stoked on this bait. Basically what it is a flippin' style creature bait in the watermelon red flake color. Watermelon red flake is a really good color because it looks like perch, can look like crawfish, can look like a variety of different things, and it's just one of the best all-around flipping colors, especially up here in the Midwest where you have a little bit cleaner water. Now I'm going to take and put this on a Texas rig weight, flip it for a largemouth, or you can put it on the back of a jig and drag it around. It's going to give you a little bit less action, but give you a really natural profile coming through the water, catch a lot of big fish. And finally, the last plastic in the box is an 11-inch blitz worm. We actually got these in the box last year in the black color, but this red bug color is super, super overlooked up here in the Midwest. A lot of guys throw it down south, but red bug just straight out, flat out, catches these fish when they start to move out to the ledges. When other guys are throwing, you know, your big jigs, or they're throwing some of those other style deep water baits, I like to go to a big worm. It just catches a lot of those post spawners that are getting out deep looking for a big meal to feed up for the summertime. And finally, this is something that's pretty cool. You get a full pack of liquid mayhem. Now I truly believe scent matters for smallmouth. It also matters for largemouth, and the scent that we went with was garlic minnow. Garlic is just a really good overall scent, and this is going to be an awesome thing to add to all of these soft plastic baits, all your X-Zone baits. You can even add it to hard baits if you'd like, but I'm a big believer that scent matters, especially when fishing smallmouth. So super, super stoked on this. Whew. The rain has finally stopped. It's actually become a really beautiful night. It's cooled off a little bit. Look at this. Mist is actually evaporating off the fence, which I don't know if you guys can see, but pretty cool. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing the gear that I'm going to be using this year, how I'm going to be fishing it, what I'm going to be using it for throughout the season. But if there's ever any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comment section. I can give you guys recommendations on rods, powers, action, anything you guys want to know about any of the techniques or topics that I've talked about in this video, or anything else. Just hit me up down there in the comment section. Again, we're on the road to 50,000. We just broke 20,000 subscribers, which is ridiculous. 20,000 subscribers on this channel means the world to me. Now let's work on our way to hit 50, 100,000 subscribers. But as always, thank you guys for watching. If there's anything you guys want to see in future videos, hit me up in that comment section below. And as always, take care, tight lines. God bless. Pursue your passion.